Call this meeting of the Republic Planning and Zoning Commission for August the 12th, 2024 to order. Staff, please call the roll.
Commissioner Alexander.
Here.
Commissioner DeBrava.
Here.
Commissioner Ellis. Commissioner Means.
Here.
Commissioner Hyder.
Here.
Commissioner Mann.
Here.
Commissioner Bridges.
Here.
First order of business is to approve the agenda. Does staff have any changes?
We'd like to request an amendment to the Buildings Department update section for item 5. We're removing that for tonight, would be the requested amendment.
So noted. Can I get a motion for approval?
Motion to amend as requested.
Second.
Staff, please call the roll.
Commissioner DeBrava,
Aye.
Commissioner Hyder,
Aye.
Commissioner Bridges,
Aye.
Commissioner Alexander,
Aye.
Commissioner Means,
Aye.
Commissioner Mann.
Aye.
Next order of business is to review the previous meeting minutes from July 8th, 2024. Are there any changes or motions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Staff, please call the vote.
Commissioner Means.
Aye.
Commissioner Hyder.
Aye.
Commissioner Mann.
Aye.
Commissioner Bridges.
Aye.
Commissioner Alexander.
Aye.
Commissioner DeBrava.
Aye. Right, staff, could you read the meeting procedures for us?
The Planning and Zoning Commission holds public hearings as required by law and provides recommendations to City Council on matters relating to land use planning, zoning, and the subdivision of land. Any person who has an interest in the subject matter of a hearing will have the opportunity to provide testimony and present evidence to the Commission during the public hearing. Speakers are required to conduct themselves in an orderly and respectful manner. Disruptive behavior, including applause, yelling, speaking out of turn, or other inappropriate behaviors will not be tolerated. Additionally, the following applies to any person addressing the Commission. Speakers are limited to 5 minutes unless authorized additional time by the chairperson. Speakers must speak at the podium unless previous arrangements have been made by the chairperson. Speakers must legibly print their name and address on the sign-in sheet at the podium prior to speaking. Speakers must begin by stating their name and address and should speak clearly and into the microphone. The chairperson will announce the subject of the hearing, followed by a report from staff. The chairperson will then open the public hearing to the applicant, followed by those in favor of the application and those opposed to the application. The chairperson will close the public hearing. During this time, the commission will discuss amongst themselves. The public may not address the commission after the close of the public hearing unless requested by the chairperson. The Planning and Zoning Commission shall base their recommendation and/or decision on information and evidence presented during the public hearing. This decision, if required by the application, will be forwarded in writing to City Council for further consideration.
Thank you. We have 3 rezoning hearings tonight. The first hearing is rezone 24-013, public hearing and possible vote to recommend the approval of an application to change the zoning classification of approximately 25 acres located at the 1100 block of North Main Street from agricultural AG to medium density single family residential R1M. Chris?
Thank you. Chris Tabor, Principal Planner. Enterprise Development LLC has applied to change the zoning classification of approximately 25 acres of property located at the 1100 block of North Main Street from agricultural AG to medium density single family residential R1M. The subject property is currently vacant. The following paragraphs contain a brief analysis of present site conditions as well as the proposal's relationship to the adopted plans of the city. The city's comprehensive plan generally encourages the expansion of residential and commercial development through proactive rezoning of land at appropriate locations. Appropriate locations are described generally throughout the plan with regard to the relationship of land at particular locations to infrastructure capable of supporting various intensities and densities of uses. Community Development Goal 1, to support market conditions to develop a greater variety of residential and commercial options. Objective 1B, support a variety of housing developments and styles to ensure a range of options are available. The rezoning of this parcel is consistent with the city's adopted plans. The subject property is adjacent to the following zoning districts: Greene County Zoned Agriculture, A1 to the north, medium density single family residential R1M to the east, medium density single family residential R1M, and high density single family residential R1H zoning to the south, and Greene County Zoned Agriculture A1 zoning to the west. The requested zoning district, medium density single family residential R1M, is consistent with use of adjacent property. City water and sewer systems have capacity to serve this property if the application is approved. The property is in proximity to the City of Republic water and sewer infrastructure. Effluent would travel to the Evergreen Lift Station to the north and then on to the wastewater treatment plant from the subject site. The water system, named lift station, and wastewater treatment facility currently have capacity to serve the intended use. A traffic impact study was previously required for this property. The TIS indicated that no new improvements were warranted. The subject parcel does not contain any areas of special flood hazard area, floodplain. The subject property is in proximity to an identified sinkhole. All construction will be in accordance with Section 410.700 of the City of Republic's adopted ordinances, sinkhole and karst features, which does not allow for any construction within a 30-foot setback of the mapped sinkhole. Additionally, the sinkhole and related 30-foot setback must be restricted to common lots. Staff considers the proposed zoning map amendment rezoning to be generally consistent with the goals and objectives of the comprehensive plan, consistent with the trend of development in the vicinity of the site, compatible with surrounding land uses, and able to be adequately served by municipal facilities. Based upon this analysis, performed without the benefit of evidence and testimony of a public hearing, staff is recommending approval of the application.
Thank you. Is the applicant or their designee in attendance and wish to speak?
Good evening, Chris Wynn, civil engineer with CJW Transportation Consultants in Springfield, Missouri, located at 5051 South National Avenue. So we were before you guys a few months ago on this property. We were trying to rezone 30 acres to R1H, which is high density. This board voted unanimously, I believe, to approve that. But when we got to city council, the neighborhood had gotten a petition so that we had to get a supermajority, and we didn't get that. We received one vote, and I think the other 6 commissioners or council members voted against it. So we're back in front of you guys today. We're trying to rezone 25 acres. 5 of the acres there along Main Street's already zoned R1M medium density residential. So that's the difference between the 2 cases. Ultimately, the main difference that you see and what the residents will see is we're going from approximately 7,500 square foot lots to 9,000 square foot lots. More consistent with the neighborhood to the south. I know some of those are R1H, but they were truthfully larger R1H lots. So the neighborhood was really organized. They voiced their concerns, and it was heard by city council. So we are back here with a new case with a medium density residential. As far as traffic and as far as the development in general, we're going from approximately 122 lots to somewhere around 100 lots. We haven't gotten it exactly figured out since we got a little too far along in the process last time. We didn't want to put the cart before the horse and spend any extra time trying to figure it out, but it's gonna be somewhere around 100 lots. The previous traffic study was done based on high density, the 122 lots, so we're at 100 now. The original traffic study didn't show any needed improvements, so we are less traffic still in that same case. We'll be required to make general improvements to the property when we get to the point such as sidewalk along Main Street in our frontage. We'll have a stormwater detention basin in the northeast corner of our property. We'll extend all roads in cardinal directions as generally required. So that's really where we're at. I know that when we were here last time, it was basically standing room only, and there's much less people here tonight. So I feel hopefully pretty good that Jeff Hammonds, who's with the development company, has met with the neighbors. He's gone to their houses. He's sat down and bought pizza and talked with them about it, and they feel much more comfortable with the R1M, which I think is why hopefully we'll have less opposition tonight than we previously had. So I'm really here to answer any questions that you guys might have, but that's kind of where we stand and what's the difference between today and a few months ago.
Thank you. We'll let you know if we do.
Sign in real quick.
Is there anyone here in favor that wishes to speak? Seeing none, is there anybody who wishes to speak against the application? As none. I will deem this hearing closed. Does anyone have any discussions or motions for the application?
Motion to approve rezone 24-013.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second on the recommendation of rezone 24-013 to change the zoning classification of approximately 25 acres located at the 1100 block of North Main Street from agricultural AG to medium-density single-family residential R1M. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Bridges?
Aye.
Commissioner Alexander?
Aye.
Commissioner Brava?
Aye.
Commissioner Means?
Aye.
Commissioner Hyder?
Aye.
Commissioner Mann?
Aye.
With that, we will move on to the next item on the agenda, rezone 24-014. Public hearing and possible vote to recommend the approval of an application to change the zoning classification of approximately 0.46 acres located at 907 North Walnut Avenue from light industrial M1 to multifamily residential R3.
Dogwood Real Estate Holdings LLC has applied to change the zoning classification property located at 907 North Walnut Avenue, or legally described as lots 20 and 21 of the Cohicks North Side First Edition, from light industrial M1 to multifamily residential R3. The property subject to the rezoning application consists of approximately 0.46 acres of land. The property is currently the site of a fourplex residential dwelling structure. As regulated by Article 405 non-conforming uses of the Republic Municipal Code, the use of the structure within the existing zoning of light industrial M1 is deemed non-conforming. The applicable regulations of the light industrial M1 district do not permit the use of multifamily dwellings. If approved, the application to rezone the property of multifamily residential would make it a conforming lot of record and use. The following paragraph contains brief analysis of present site conditions as well as the proposal's relationship to adopted plans of the city. The city's comprehensive plan generally encourages the expansion of residential and commercial development through proactive rezoning of land at appropriate locations. Locations are described generally throughout the plan with regard of the relationship of land at particular locations to infrastructure capable of supporting various intensities and densities of uses. In the case of this application, the rezone would encourage preserving the existing use of the residential development through an appropriate reactive measure. The rezone of this parcel is consistent with the city's adopted plans. The subject property is adjacent to light industrial M1 zone parcels bordering the west and north property lines and to the east across North Walnut Avenue. It is also adjacent to local commercial C1 zone parcels to the south across West North Street. The multifamily residential R3 zoning district is intended to permit and establish regulations to accommodate high-density residential development. The land uses to the west and north are commercial, and the property across Walnut Avenue is multifamily residential. Such rezoning would be compatible with the surrounding land uses. City and water sewer systems have capacity to serve this property if the application is approved. The property has access to sewer through an 8-inch gravity sewer main along Walnut Avenue. Effluent would travel through gravity lines to the Evergreen lift station before being pumped to the wastewater treatment facility. Water is currently available adjacent to the site through a 4-inch main across Walnut Avenue. The water system, named lift stations, and wastewater treatment facility currently have capacity to serve the intended use. The property has access off Walnut Avenue, a local class road. It is also adjacent to North Street, which is classified as a local commercial and multifamily street by the transportation plan. A traffic impact study was not required for the rezoning application due to the fact that the size of the developable area is under 1 acre threshold of requiring such study. The site does not contain areas of flood areas or identified sinkholes. Staff considers the proposed zoning map to be generally consistent with the goals and objectives of the comprehensive plan, consistent with the trend of development in the vicinity of the site, compatible with surrounding land uses, and able to be adequately served by municipal facilities. Based upon this analysis, performed without the benefit of evidence and testimony of the public hearing, staff recommends the approval of this application.
Thank you. Is the applicant or their designee in attendance and wish to speak? Please state your name and address.
Heath Miller, 4335 West Tilden, Springfield, Missouri. And I'm just here to answer any questions you may have. If it's approved and eventually rezoned, our desire is to build another fourplex, which that'll depend if there's proper setbacks and so forth to do so.
We'll let you know if anything comes up.
Okay.
Is there anyone here in favor that wishes to speak? Is there anyone here who wishes to speak against the application? With that, the hearing is closed. Does anyone have any discussions or motions for this application?
Motion to approve rezone 24-014.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to vote on the recommendation of rezone 24-014 to change the zoning classification of approximately 0.46 acres located at 907 North Walnut Avenue from light industrial M1 to multifamily residential R3. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Means,
Aye.
Commissioner Brava,
Aye.
Commissioner Alexander,
Aye.
Commissioner Bridges,
Aye.
Commissioner Mann,
Aye.
Commissioner Hyder.
Aye.
The last public hearing on the agenda is rezone 24-015. Public hearing and possible vote to recommend the approval of an application to change the zoning classification of approximately 24.32 acres located at 1 Convoy Drive from general commercial C2 to heavy industrial M2.
Thank you. Convoy of Hope has requested to change the zoning classification of approximately 24.32 acres of property located at 1 Convoy Drive from general commercial C2 to heavy industrial M2. The subject property is currently vacant. The city's comprehensive plan generally encourages the expansion of residential and commercial development through proactive rezoning of land at appropriate locations. Appropriate locations are generally described throughout the plan with regard to the relationship of land at particular locations to infrastructure capable of supporting various intensities and densities of uses. Coordination with Infrastructure Goal 3. Encourage the redevelopment and integration of the former Brookline area. Objective 3B. Support the development of an industrial commercial center where infrastructure and transportation exist. The rezoning of this parcel is consistent with the city's adopted plans. The subject property is adjacent to the following zoning districts: Greene County zoned agriculture A1 to the north across West Farm Road 144, heavy industrial M2 to the east, general commercial C2 zoning to the south and west. The property is part of the Convoy of Hope campus, the rest of which is zoned heavy industrial M2 already. The requested zoning district, heavy industrial M2, is consistent with use of adjacent property. City water and sewer systems have capacity to serve this property if the application is approved. City of Republic water and sewer infrastructure currently are on site for the greater Convoy of Hope complex. Effluent would travel from this site to the Evergreen Lift Station to the north, to Brookline North Lift Station, to Brookline South Lift Station, to McElhaney Lift Station, and then to the wastewater treatment facility. The water system, named lift station, and wastewater treatment facility currently have the capacity to serve the intended use. A traffic impact study was not required for this property. The city is evaluating a number of possible ways to address future traffic needs in the area, and these efforts will involve participation or input from a number of businesses utilizing the roads in and around the Brookline Business Park. Improvements will need to be made as part of a larger concerted effort that takes into account the eventual full area build-out of Convoy of Hope and other occupants. The subject parcel does not contain any areas of special flood hazard area, floodplain. The subject property does not contain any identified sinkholes. Staff considers the proposed zoning map amendment, rezoning, to be generally consistent with the goals and objectives of the comprehensive plan, consistent with the trend of development in the vicinity of the site, compatible with surrounding land uses, and able to be adequately served by municipal facilities. Based upon this analysis performed without the benefit of evidence and testimony of a public hearing, staff is recommending the approval of this application.
Thank you. Is the applicant or their designee in attendance and wish to speak?
Good evening. Ricky Haas with Olson, 550 East St. Louis in Springfield. I represent Convoy of Hope. So their main objective here, they own the two parcels to the east that are M2. The one is where their facility, the warehouse and the office sits on, and then the one in the middle is the old rugby field that they purchased and relocated that rugby club. And then the parcel that we're talking about is we're trying to get all of them into an M2 zoning so that we can combine them all into one chunk. We don't want to try to do it with a split zoning. So if this were to be approved, that would be the first thing we would do is a minor sub to consolidate the properties for Convoy. They don't have any immediate plans for development in that area. They're working on funding, and if funding did come through, they may be able to do some projects that up that direction, working that way up the property. Their current disaster services is in the warehouse. They have plans of building its own facility and moving it out of the warehouse to expand warehouse space. That could kind of go in this direction. And then they've got plans for some dormitories and guest houses for folks that come and stay. They wouldn't be rental or anything like that, just their own facilities. But that's kind of what that general area will be used for in the long term. But other than that, that's all I've got, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you guys have.
Appreciate it. We'll let you know.
Okay.
Is there anyone here in favor that wishes to speak? Is there anyone opposed to the application that wishes to speak? With that, we'll close the hearing. Does anyone have any discussions or motions for this application?
Motion to approve rezone 24-015.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to vote on the recommendation of rezone 24-015 to change the zoning classification of approximately 24.32 acres located at 1 Convoy Drive from general commercial C2 to heavy industrial M2. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Hyder,
Aye.
Commissioner Mann,
Aye.
Commissioner Bridges,
Aye.
Commissioner Alexander,
Aye.
Commissioner DeBrava,
Aye.
Commissioner Means.
Aye.
All right. With that, we are done with the public hearings for tonight, and we will move on to other business. Does anybody have any other business? All right. Next, we will move on to citizen participation. Do any citizens wish to participate? Take that as a no. And then we will move on to the Builds Department update.
I did just want to let everyone know that Brian Fields has been appointed by the council to be the Planning and Zoning Commission liaison. He'll be joining us from here on, so we just wanted to welcome him tonight.
Does he have to tell jokes or anything fun?
You'll have to ask him what his remit is from the council.
Welcome to the group, Brian. If nothing else from the Builds Department, then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner DeBrava,
Aye.
Commissioner Alexander,
Aye.
Commissioner Means,
Aye.
Commissioner Mann,